court head, prudent, there's feedback somewhere, to rather request your lady to also come and see the issues that we have at the moment. The only issue that we have is to link up with the next witness. It's Mr. Samuel or Mr. Pierre. And his attorney is online, but it's just the witness that we're struggling with. Invites have been sent to him, but for some reason he cannot link up.
Is he not together with his attorney?
No, they're not sitting in the same place. I understand that Mr. Albertine is in Cape Town and he is in London, St. Victoria, somewhere. So we're just waiting for him to link up, and then we can start.
Has anyone gotten in touch with him? Do we know what the problem is from his side?
We're in touch with his attorney who's speaking to him. So if your ladyship won't mind, I will message Mr. Albertine again and just ask what is happening. Because he was going to speak to him now. So if the court will just bear with us for a few minutes.
Should we adjourn for this purpose? Mr. Vani, do you have any proposal?
Melanie, unfortunately, I don't have a proposal to make with this problem, which is most unfortunate. But we do have a few housekeeping matters, so perhaps we can get those out of the way in terms of handing up certain documentation.
Valeria, I would like to contribute to the conversation with Mr. Colton, which is whether or not the attorney should not connect and explain firsthand what is going on. Thank you.
The lady is online. Mr. Albertine?
Mr. Albertine, can you hear us?
The lady, he appears to be muted.
Mr. Albertine? Okay, maybe let's deal with what Mr. Vani wanted to deal with, and then we can adjourn and we can try and see if we can go to hold of Mr. Albertine. Mr. Vani?
As the court pleases. As soon as Mr. Albertine comes online, I'm happy to cut short this process. Lady, the first order of business, we wish to hand up a new volume, which will be titled Volume L. Lady, what we've done to assist the court, and in particular our learned friends representing the persons of interest, last week and the week before we sent them digital copies of various documents that we may wish to refer to, including links to them.
Ja, jy sien my. Okay, daar sy. Okay, bye.
Lady, I see Mr. Albertine is available. Should we have the shorts to him?
Skryf jy hier.
Good morning, Mr. Albertine.
So.
That is the witness that has just come in. Mr. De Beer.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, good morning. Mr. Albertine, can you also hear us? Okay, let's adjourn shortly, see if you can get hold of everyone, and then you can let me know.
As a court please.
Can we just hand up the documentation?
No, let's adjourn then.
As the court pleases.
All right.
Beer.
the deal.
Can be expected with the virtual hearings
Yes.
as usual.
Yes, thank you. Madam. Lady, I just wanted to place on record that my colleague, Mr. Carpenter, will lead this witness.
Thank you, my lady. My lady, as you can see on screen is both Mr. Albertine and Mr. De Beer. Mr. Albertine has a watching brief in this matter. My lady, this morning prior to us commencing, we did have a consultation with Mr. De Beer. His statement was provided to us on Friday afternoon. He has indicated that he is going to testify in English, but there might be an issue with one or two words or phrases where he might then revert to Afrikaans. Unfortunately, we were unable to secure the services of an Afrikaans interpreter. My lady, Mr. De Beer has, as it indicated, deposed to an affidavit which was circulated to all the parties on Friday afternoon. My lady, I have made a copy of the affidavit. It would be added to the link of the record, which I'm, with the leave of the court, going to hand up. My lady, I'm going to mark this exhibit in. You're going to hand up. My learned colleague, Mr. Vani, has indicated they are going to hand up a record which will be marked L, so I'm going to ask for this to be marked exhibit in, which I've also managed to have it punched. Not me myself. And thank you to my learned friends, Mr. Sakela, for assisting me in that matter.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Albertine. Good morning, Mr. Dubier. Can you please state your full names for the record, please? Mr. Dubier?
Yes.
Good morning, and can you please state your full names for the purposes of the record?
Good morning. You want me to read the affidavit?
To state your full names, please, if you may.
Yes, I'm Samuel De Beer, and I'm an adult male and a pensioner, currently residing in 116 6th Street, London.
He's reading out.
The facts contained in this affidavit, unless otherwise indicated within my personal knowledge,
Thank you.
and are true and correct.
Sorry, Mr. Dubier.
My lady, excuse me if I may just assist perhaps.
Before you read the rest of the affidavit, please swear that the evidence you're about to give will be nothing else but the truth, and raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
What do you want me to do?
To swear that the evidence...
So help me God.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Governor?
Thank you, my lady. My lady, we have skipped a few steps, so I'll just carry on from there. Mr. De Beer, can you confirm that on Friday you deposed to an affidavit that is currently before you?
Yes, that's correct.
And if you look at the last page of the affidavit, there's a signature above the name Samuel Johannes De Beer. Can you confirm if that is your signature?
Yes, that's correct.
Can I please ask for you to then now read that statement into the record?
You want me to read the whole statement?
Yes, from where you had stopped.
Right. On or about the 7th of August, 2024, a subpoena was served on me to attend an inquest regarding the death of Matthew Ganiwe, Ford Galata, Cecilu Mshloli, and Sparrow Mkondo in the above honorable court from the 2nd to the 24th of September 2024. I was excused from attending on those dates and agreed to now testify during the October 25 hearing. The purpose and context, this statement deals with my knowledge of Mr. Matthew Goniwe, particularly in relation to his role in Cradock, the circumstances surrounding his removal from the teaching post and the efforts undertaken to facilitate his reinstatement prior to his death. I do not have any personal knowledge of the circumstances surrounding the death of Mr. Goniwe or the persons who were killed with him. The personal background: I was born on the 19th of August 1944, many long time ago, in Rivonia, Gauteng. I matriculated from Helpmekaar College in Johannesburg and subsequently obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in theology from the University of Pretoria. I served as a minister of religion for 5 years in Springs before entering public service. In 1974, I became a member of Parliament, and in 1984 I was appointed Deputy Minister of Education and Development Aid. I held this position for 5 years, that is from 1984 to 1989, and from 1989 to 1991 I served as inter alia Minister of Housing and Minister of Health. I was also the Minister of Education and Training from 1992 to 1994. I served as a Member of Parliament from 1994 to 2000, and in 2000 I was appointed to the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, where I served as a member of the African National Congress, the ANC, and as the chairman of the Oversight Committee of the Premier of Gauteng. I remained in this position until my retirement in 2013. Political unrest and school boycotts. My appointment as Deputy Minister in 1984 coincided with a period of heightened political unrest in the Republic of South Africa, particularly within the education sector. I was tasked with overseeing matters relating to black education, which at the time had become a central point of resistance against the apartheid government. During this period, widespread school boycotts occurred across the RSA. These boycotts were driven by, inter alia, inadequate facilities, authoritarian disciplinary practices, language policies, and broader opposition to the apartheid regime. These protests became increasingly politicized. Cradock in the Eastern Cape became a vocal point of nationwide unrest during the 1980s. At the center of the movement in Cradock was Mr. Goniwe, a respected mathematics teacher at the local school and prominent community leader who played a pivotal role in organizing local resistance, advocating for educational reform, and promoting community self-determination in the face of apartheid. As I understand it at the time, due to his influence in Cradock, Mr. Goniwe was deemed a threat by security forces and the State Security Council. Although I have no first-hand knowledge of the process of chain of command, Mr. Koniwe was removed from his teaching position in Cradock by the Department of Education and Training and relocated to Graaff-Reinet, as I understand it, on the instructions of the SABC. This decision provoked significant unrest and widespread protest in the Cradock region. The removal of Mr. Koniwe from his teaching position in Cradock occurred prior to my appointment as Deputy Minister of Education and Training in September 1984. The decision to transfer him was taken under the tenure of the then Minister of Education and Training. Following my appointment, the ongoing unrest in Cradock arising inter alia from Mr. Koniwe's removal prompted me to conduct further inquiries into the matter. Investigations, school boycott. I travelled to Cradock on several occasions to engage directly with community leaders and to convene meetings aimed at fostering dialogue between government officials and residents.
We can't hear you anymore.
Mr. De Beer, you have muted yourself. Unmute yourself. Just click on the mic button to unmute yourself. No, you're still muted, Mr. De Beer. We can't hear you, so you need to unmute yourself. Can you ask Sasanda to unmute you? My lady, we're just asking the person who created the link to unmute you. Mr. De Beer, if you go to the bottom left corner of your screen, you should see a microphone icon. Can you see that? You just have to click on that. So you said the top right.
Yeah, if you can't find that bottom left, then you can look at it. You see what's there.
If you look right at the top of the screen as well too, you'll see there's a camera icon and then there's a mic icon. You just have to click on the mic.
Yeah. So now it's
we can hear you now.
yeah, there we are. Okay, okay.
Can I continue?
Yes, please, if you may.
Hello?
Yes, carry on, Mr. De Beer.
I'll continue from paragraph 17. I travelled to Cradock on several occasions to engage directly with community leaders and to convene meetings aimed at fostering dialogue between government officials and residents. These engagements included meetings with parents, local leaders, and educators, during which I tried to establish the reason for the heightened political unrest in Cradock. During these visits, I expressed support for broader improvements to educational and living conditions in the Lingalishle township. I did not personally meet Mr. Goniwe during any of my visits to Cradock as at that time. I had no reason to do this. It later became apparent, however, from my interactions with community representatives, that Mr. Goniwe was an extremely influential figure. As a result, one of my departmental representatives, Mr. Jaap Strydom, met with Mr. Goniwe personally. Mr. Goniwe expressed his desire to conduct further discussions. I subsequently invited representatives of the Cradock Residential Association, that is Cradora, an organization led by Mr. Goniwe, to Cape Town to initiate further discussions regarding the situation in Cradock. In or about April 1985, I met with representatives of Cradora without Mr. Goniwe. It became evident that in order to restore peace in Cradock and bring an end to the school boycotts, Mr. Goniwe needed to be reinstated to his teaching position. The representatives of Cradora expressed the firm view that Mr. Goniwe commanded the respect and trust of the local community, and that his reinstatement would be instrumental in restoring discipline among learners and re-establishing order within the town. At that time, public meetings were prohibited in the RSA. I, however, obtained special authorization for a public meeting to be held in Cradock, the purpose of which was to promote dialogue and to encourage the return of the learners to the classroom. Mr. Goniwe facilitated this public meeting in April 1985, and on 15th April 1985, the learners returned to school, effectively bringing an end to the school boycotts in Cradock, an event that marked a significant milestone in the broader struggle for stability and educational reform in South Africa. Whilst the above-mentioned efforts were being made to restore peace in Cradock and bring an end to the school boycotts, parallel discussions were taking place between representatives of the DET and the SAC regarding Mr. Goniwe's reinstatement. The DET and the SAC held conflicting views regarding the reinstatement of Mr. Goniwe. On or about the 13th of May 1985, during a meeting convened between the SSC and representatives of the DET, the SSC made it clear that Mr. Goniwe would not be reinstated under any circumstances. However, at a subsequent meeting held on the 6th of June 1985, the issue of reinstatement was revisited, and it was ultimately agreed that Mr. Goniwe would be reinstated unconditionally. I did not attend these meetings. Despite this agreement, the reinstatement process was subject to further delays by the SSC. In order to avoid further delays, I sought confirmation of the reinstatement decision from Cabinet. Therefore, I convened an informal meeting in Pretoria with the Minister of Law and Order, Mr. Louis Legrandsie, the Minister of Defence, General Magnus Malang, the Minister of Education and Training, Dr. Gerrit Viljoen, and the Commissioner of Police, General Johan Coetzee. During this meeting, all persons present agreed that Mr. Goniwe should be reinstated in his post in Cradock. I am not sure of the dates of these meetings, but as far as I can remember, it was a week or two before the killing of the Cradock Four. General Coetzee at this meeting requested a brief postponement to allow the police to make the necessary administrative arrangements prior to Mr. Goniwe's reinstatement. I was not sure what the administrative arrangements were, but despite my subsequent follow-ups, no further progress was communicated to me. I contacted General Coetzee a few times to obtain a progress report, but he repeatedly advised me to be patient. After the informal meetings referred to herein before, on 27th June 1985, Mr. Goniwe, together with Messrs. Fort Galata, Sparrow Nkontu, and Cecilio Musladi were killed. I was later informed that the killings of the Cradock Four were attributed to tensions between ZAPU and the UDF at the time. Conclusion: the deaths of the Cradock Four were deeply shocking to me, particularly given Mr. Goniwe's significant and positive influence as a leader and educator within the Cradock community. I remain available to assist the Honourable Court further, should clarification or elaboration be required on any aspect of the statement. Thank you.
Can you confirm with us, when you were the Deputy Minister of Education and Development Aid, what were your duties and responsibilities?
All matters concerning black education was delegated to me as Deputy Minister.
And when the issues arose regarding boycotts, student boycotts, were you expected to be involved in those, in the resolving of those issues?
Yes, well, it was my duty to try and get order and the schools functioning properly. So that was part of my function.
And you indicate in paragraph 24 that, let's go to paragraph 23. You indicate that a decision was made or a request was made for a public meeting to be held in Cradock to discuss
That's
the
good.
unrest. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And that you obtained permission, special authorization for this public meeting to be held.
Well, there was a prohibition on all meetings to be held in that time. And at the request of Cradock, I obtained permission that a public meeting could be held to discuss the situation in Cradock.
And do you remember who you got that authorization from?
Well, I can't remember the precise person, but it would have been in my line function to contact the security establishment to get that permission.
In paragraph 25, you indicate that parallel discussions were taking place between the representatives of DET and the SSC regarding Mr. Goniwe's reinstatement.
Yes.
Did you instruct the representatives of DET to engage with the State Security Council regarding Mr. Goniwe's reinstatement?
Yes, of course I did. I mean, they were working under my instructions and the department's instructions. So I was aware of my officials of the Department of Education and Training meeting other officials from the CSSC.
And do you remember who represented the department at these meetings?
Yes, it was a person by the name of Jan Vermaak, who was, if I remember correctly, a director in the Department of Education and Training.
And after meeting with the SSC, would he come and give you a briefing about what had occurred during the meeting?
That was the normal procedure, and of course, I was very interested in what was the progress.
Okay. Then you say it was your department's intention to have Mr. Goniwe reinstated back in Cradock, but the SSC were not of the same view.
Yes, there was conflicting views in this regard. The security people were not in favor of him being reinstated. And that was also the reason for some delays in this regard.
Did they explain in that first meeting why they didn't want to reinstate Mr. Goniwe?
Well, I think if I must summarize their feelings as I understood it, it was that many of the security people saw Goniwe as an enemy of the state.
And then in paragraph 27, it was conveyed on the 30th of May 1985 that the SSC made it clear that Mr. Goniwe would not be reinstated under any circumstances. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And then in paragraph 28, you indicate that in a subsequent meeting held on the 6th of June, it was then decided that Mr. Goniwe will be reinstated unconditionally.
That's correct, yes.
Do you know what changed between that meeting on the 30th of May and the subsequent meeting on the 6th of June that allowed the SSC to now not oppose Mr. Goniwe's reinstatement?
Yeah, I'm afraid, I was not a member of the SSC, so I would not know what their motivation was.
Did they not convey that to the representative of DET?
No, not that to my knowledge.
Okay. And at that meeting on the 6th of June, when you received feedback, was anything indicated to the department of Education when Mr. Goniwe would be reinstated?
Well, you see, we were in constant communication with the SAC in this regard, and we had to reach agreement on this. But as I say, there was a problem with the SAC in this regard.
You say that...
And because of this delays, it was I felt that we could not delay the matter any longer, and for this reason I sought confirmation of the reinstatement decision from Cabinet.
Did the State Security Council give any reasons for the delays to your department?
Well, as I said, you know, they saw Goniwe as a troublemaker, and they did not want to reinstate him as a teacher in Cradock.
But after the decision was made to reinstate him, they had obviously decided now that that was no longer a reason, so they wanted him to come back to teaching in Cradock. But obviously, that decision was delayed. Did they indicate what the delay was to have him reinstated, even though they were now in agreement to have him reinstated?
Yeah, it's difficult for me to talk on behalf of the SEC because, as I say, you know, we had opposing views in this regard, and it was quite clear that they didn't want Mr. Goniwe to return to Cradock.
Mr. Veer, what I want to know is, did they ever convey to your department what was the reason for the delays? Or was that never ever communicated to you?
Well, what I'm telling you now is what I heard from my officials, that Goniwe was seen as a troublemaker and that he could not contribute to improving the situation in Cradock, with which I, of course, did not agree.
Thank you, Mr.
I had a different viewpoint in this regard.
And is it?
I think in paragraph 32, Mr. De Beer states that according to General Kudziye, there was a request for a postponement to allow the police to make certain administrative arrangements, whatever those were.
Malady, I'm just trying to clarify. I know that happened after this informal meeting with the ministers. I'm just trying to clarify, was that also conveyed prior to that informal meeting, or was nothing said until the informal meeting with the various ministers? So that would be my next question, Malady. Mr. De Beer, as a result of these delays, from what I can understand, that is when you decided to engage in this informal meeting with the various ministers.
Yes.
Mentioned in paragraph 31.
That's correct, yes.
And as my lady has correctly pointed out, General Kutsier was then the Commissioner of Police, then indicated that he needed to make certain administrative arrangements before Mr. Goniwe could be reinstated. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Did he convey to you what these administrative arrangements were?
No, I as I say in my statement, I was not sure what these administrative arrangements were. So I can't comment on that.
And from what you say in paragraph 33, it's becoming obvious that none of these administrative arrangements are actually made, and that is why you decided to contact General Kutsia again to find out what is going on and why Mr. Goniwe is not being reinstated.
Well, at this informal meeting, it was agreed that General Kutsia would let me know when, you know, his department was ready for me to implement our plans. And I contacted him several times to hear whether the necessary progress has been made in this regard, and he indicated to me that I should be patient to wait for the results.
Now, Mr. De Beer, if you consider that the decision to reinstate was made at this meeting on the 6th of June, and you had subsequent communications with the various ministers as well as communications with Mr. Kutsia, did you genuinely believe that the State Security Council wanted to reinstate Mr. Guniwe? All these delays and then not telling you exactly what the reasons for the delays were.
Well, as I've indicated to you, I was not a member of the SAC, but if I have to come to a conclusion, it is clear to me that there was not one viewpoint in the SAC about this, that there was opposing viewpoints about that
Opposing
in
viewpoints,
the SAC.
opposing viewpoints regarding the reinstatement of Mr. Guniwe.
Yes, that's correct.
You believe there were still members of the State Security Council who didn't want Mr. Guniwe to be reinstated?
I think that's what he needs to say, Mr.
That's what this is on the And Mr. De Beer, just to get it on the record, you never attended any of these meetings of the State Security Council.
No, I wasn't a member of the SAC, but there were representatives of my department who attended these meetings.
And would they then make or provide board packs to you?
Yes, of course.
Nothing further, my lady.
If you can stay on the line, Mr. De Beer, the representatives of the respective parties may want to ask you questions.
Yes, with pleasure.
Yes, any questions for Mr. De Beer? Mr. Toby? Thank you.
Mr. Banu doesn't want to start. Mr. De Beer, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
I think that's a good thing.
Well, at least I can see the honorable chairman now, so now I can see a beautiful cloak. I'm sorry that I'm not the person to see it.
It's her honorable judge rather than honorable chairman. Mr. De Beer, I just want to get a few issues of clarification maybe you can assist us with. In the amnesty process, the TRC process, Mr. de Klerk, the former state president, said that you wanted to reinstate Mr. Mr. Goniwe, but you faced strong resistance from the security quarters. Is that correct? That there was...
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Who were these people that were opposing you? Just give us the names.
Who were the persons who what?
That were opposing you, giving you the strong resistance.
Well, basically, you know, the normal channel of communication went through the SAC, and they had a say in this matter, and there had to be agreement between my department and the SAC in this regard, and that's where the viewpoints differed.
I understand you've already given that evidence, but I just want to get the names because you see, you were sitting as the deputy minister, so somewhere close to cabinet. I have no doubt you spoke to these people that were giving you the strong resistance. I'm sure you can give us the names that I spoke. I spoke to so and so, he resisted. I spoke to this. I spoke to so and so, he resisted. I spoke to this other person, he resisted.
No, I didn't speak to the members of the SSC individually. That was not part of my line function.
Yes, but
my line function went through the ministers, and the ministers whose names I mentioned had a say in the SSC, but it wasn't my line function. You know, to have influence in the SAC.
Who are those ministers who resisted?
Well, the ministers who were involved in this whole education, this this process, I mentioned their names, that they were the Minister of Police, the Minister of Defence, the Minister of Education and Training, who was my own minister, and the Commissioner of Police.
All right, well,
They had an input in the, they would have had an input in the SAC.
yes, I understand. I mean, in paragraph 31 of your statement, you have given some names. I just want to know whether or not these are the people that gave you the strong resistance. Mr. Louis Legrange,
Well, after I had the informal meeting with them, they all agreed that it would be in order if Mr. Goniwe would be reinstated.
yes, but was he initially of the strong resistance or not?
Well, as I say, you know, these people were connected with the SSC, and I had no influence in that.
No, you've said that. Thank you for that answer. But I'm asking you a different question. Was Mr.
Yes.
Louis Legrange one of the ministers who strongly resisted before your intervention? Yes or no?
Yeah, well, there was a general resistance from the security family to the reinstatement of Mr. Goniwe. That is why I had to go to cabinet to get special permission.
Yes. But was Mr. Louis Legrange one of those who opposed or not?
Well, I would think so, yes. But as I say, after our meeting, everybody agreed.
No, I understand that. So let's move to the next name. So Mr. General Magnus Malan, was he one of those who opposed?
Yes, well, he was the Minister of Defence.
Yes. Dr. Gerrit Viljoen, was he one of those who opposed?
No, he was my minister, and we worked together. I had his full support and understanding.
Yes. General Johan Coetzee, was he one of those who opposed?
Well, as I indicated, he was the one who asked for postponement for the process to go on.
Now, out of the four names you've mentioned, only Gerrit Viljoen supported you. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was my minister, yes.
Yes. Now, just tell me something I don't understand with how the system worked during the time when you were the minister. This was an education matter. You and your minister agreed that Mr. Goniwe must be reinstated, but you couldn't implement it. It seems to me that the security ministers and their generals had more power than the education ministers. Is that correct?
I can't comment on that. They did not have more power about our own department than others.
Yes, but it seems the problem why I'm putting this to you is that if you and your minister agree that Mr. Goniwe must be reinstated, then
Yes.
he will be reinstated. But the reason he's not reinstated is because the defense and the SA and the South African police are saying no.
Well, that was certainly part of the delay. And we, in the final instance, we had to wait for General Coetzee to indicate to us that everything is in order, we can go ahead.
Yes, I understand. So
we had to work together, and if he says to me that his department must do certain preparations, I can't tell him that that's not correct.
Yes.
So he said, yes, but, and I was, the agreement was that he would let me know as soon as his department was ready for Mr. Goniwe to be reinstated.
Yes. No, I think what I'm trying to say is you couldn't override him.
I couldn't override who?
General Coetzee.
Well, cabinet has the final say. I mean, and that's why I felt that the process was after I got the permission of the cabinet ministers. I felt that everything was in order and we could go on.
Yes. But that's precisely the point I'm trying to explore. According
Yes,
to you, you've got the permission of cabinet. Your own
yes,
minister supports you, but the security people are not implementing.
yes, that's correct.
All
We
right.
did not get the final go ahead from General Kutsia.
Yes, precisely. Now,
Yes,
there's also something I don't fully grasp. Maybe you can also clarify for us.
yes,
Mr. Goni and his colleagues were killed on the 27th of June.
yes,
That was shortly after you had a meeting with General Kutsia asking him what progress is being made to reinstate him. Is that correct?
yes. The informal meeting that I had with my colleagues from cabinet was, as I indicated in my statement, I would say a week or so before they were killed.
Yes, but it seems that it was even shorter than that because you had a meeting, which is mentioned in paragraph 31, and then you had another contact in paragraph 33 of your statement. And that seems to be after the meeting at paragraph 31.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I understand your question.
Right, have you got your statement in front of you?
Yes,
So if you go to the meeting at paragraph 31,
yes.
you say that meeting was a week before they were killed. Is that correct?
I said more or less.
More or less
I'm
a
not
week.
sure of the dates of those meetings.
No,
You know, after 40 years, I don't have a diary that is still lying around. So I can't give you an absolute answer to that.
no, I
But
understand that.
the meeting with the ministers, I would say, was about a week or so.
Yes, no, I understand that. But what I'm saying to you is this. If that meeting was approximately a week before the murder,
Yes,
the contact you had with General Kutsia was certainly a few days before the murder. That's the contact you had at paragraph
yes,
33. Is that correct?
yes, yes. That's correct.
Yes, yes.
I kept on phoning him, and a few days before the murder, I once again spoke to him, and he told me to be patient.
Yes. Now, obviously, as you say in your statement, you were shocked that Mr. Goniwe was killed.
Yes, more than that, it was a great disappointment because I was absolutely certain that this was the solution for the problem, and of course, I mean, this was a incredible, cruel incident which I could not associate myself with.
And I would have expected that if you are shocked and a few days before the murder, you were dealing with General Kutsia, you would phone him and ask him, isn't this the man we were trying to reinstate?
I'm not sure that I understand your question.
Well, did you ask General Kutsia after the murder that this is the man we were talking about a few days before his murder? What's happening?
Yes.
What did he say to you?
I had no contact with General Kutsia after this incident.
Well, why not? Why not call him and ask? This is the man we were trying to reinstate.
Well, it wasn't my line function. I'm not the Minister of Law and Order or the police. So it wasn't for me to ask him. I had no indication that he was the one who was responsible for this incident.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, there were a lot of speculation after the murder who had done it, and We only got final answers about 3 years later. So, you know, it wasn't for me to question Kutsia on these murders. I mean, it was not my function.
Yes. There is another name that has not been mentioned in your statement. It is mentioned in some documents. Yes. It is, I'm not sure if you have it in front of you, maybe your attorney has it. It should be Annexure L, Exhibit L. It's called Extracts, Mr. Samuel Jones de Beer.
Yes.
There is another name that is not mentioned in your paragraph 33, but it is mentioned in this document at page 7.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have this document in front of me. But what is the name?
Brigadier van der Westhuizen.
Oh, no. Brigadier van der Westhuizen was the chairman, if I'm correct, of the SSC. And he wasn't the official of my department, so I had no contact with him whatsoever.
Yes.
He wasn't at that meeting, with the informal meeting that I had with the ministers, but his minister was there.
Yes, Mr.
General Magnus Malang was his minister.
Mr. Malan.
Yes, General Malang.
And it looks like what Mr. van der Westhuizen, Brigadier van der Westhuizen, stated on the 23rd of May 1985 is that Goniwe and Kalata must never be reappointed under any circumstances in any position in the Department of Education and Training.
Yes. That was my impression, that was their opinion.
Yes. And that was shared by Minister Malan.
No, that I can't say. But I can't think that the SSC could go against his viewpoint.
So whose viewpoint?
General Malang.
Yes. No, the only reason I wanted confirmation about this is that it seems that what was being conveyed to you, that Mr. Goniwe will be reinstated,
Yes.
was never intended to be implemented, because the views of the security people, as you call them, was that Mr. Goniwe must never be reinstated.
Yeah, well, that was not to my knowledge. I was told the day that they were killed, I was still under the impression that we would go through, because it was a cabinet viewpoint. The cabinet approved the plan that I had to bring Mr. Goniwe back. So I don't know. You know, I didn't have the information that he would not be reinstated. That was the viewpoint of the cabinet. And as far as I understand it, the cabinet had was governing this country.
Isn't that the whole point? Cabinet appeared to be governing the country, but in effect, it's the security people that were in charge.
I can't give you an answer to that.
Thank you, my lady. Thank you, Mr. De Beer.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. De Beer? Mr. Vani?
Yes, only one issue that was never converted.
Whether you will need to re-examine the witness at a later stage. Thank you. Mr. Vani?
Our cross-examination of this witness, the document that my known friend of the community referred to, that we had shared with Mr. Cradock, the attorney for Mr. De Beer, as well as all the other parties, with the leave of the court, we'd like to hand up a copy for your ladyship. It will save us having to go to the actual files.
Thank you. Yes, we may proceed.
As the court pleases. Mr. De Beer, firstly, thank you for making time out of your retirement to be with us virtually today. Certainly from the evidence we've heard so far...
Yeah, I only want to apologize for the fact that I'm not their person, because I would have preferred that.
Yes, indeed, we would have preferred it as well, but it's still best to have you virtually than not at all.
Yes, well, I'm glad if you see it that way.
Mr. De Beer, we've heard from your evidence in chief as well as the questions you've just answered that there were a lot of mixed messages around whether Mr. Ganiwe should be reinstated or not.
Yes.
And I'm going to probe you a little further just to help us make sense of that particular question. There's certainly quite a lot of evidence for and against the reinstatement of Mr. Ganiwe in the record. We gave you attorney extracts where these were set out. But perhaps we can just rewind to the 19th of March, 1984.
Yes.
And there was a State Security Council meeting on that day. And
Yes.
the then Minister of Black Education, Baron Jacobus du Plessis, and I understand it that he was your boss in 1984 before Mr. Viljoen assumed the post?
No, he was never my boss. I was only appointed in 1984, and at that stage, Mr. du Plessis was appointed in another department. So in 1984, Professor Gerrit Viljoen was my boss,
right,
if you want to put it that way.
Okay. Well, we then assume that the change in position took place after March of 1984. But let me refer you to...
Can I just indicate to you that I was at that stage, in March 1984, I was not a deputy minister yet. I only became a minister in September 1984.
Thanks for that clarification. Your statement mentioned 84, but not the month, so that makes it clearer for us.
Yes.
But nonetheless, I want to put to you what happened at that State Security Council meeting on the 19th of March 1984.
Yes.
Milady, these minutes are at volume G, pages 9 to 15. In that State Security Council meeting, Minister of Black Education du Plessis stated the following, and I quote, in Cradock there are 2 teachers who are acting as agitators. It would be good if they could be removed.
Yes.
Were you aware of what Mr. du Plessis said at that State Security Council meeting?
Well, I wouldn't have been aware because I wasn't in that meeting. I wasn't a deputy minister of education yet, so I was not aware of that. I became aware of the consequences of that meeting when I was appointed as deputy minister. So when I became deputy minister, Ganiwe had already been transferred to Graafrenet. So in that way, I became aware of the situation, and when I went into the whole matter of what was going on in Cradock, I realized that this was a major factor in the unrest, the fact that Ganiwe had been transferred to Cradock.
Yes, and as you say, there were certainly consequences that that flowed. Perhaps then we can now turn to the question of these mixed messages, and you've already been alluded to some of them.
Yes.
And just to save time, I'm going to do my best to summarize these mixed messages, and then I'm going to seek your comment. Let's first start with the evidence that suggests that there was a desire to reappoint Mr. Ganiwe. And my lady, if I can draw your attention to page 2 of the extracts. So certainly from the Department of Education, it seems clear that you and your colleagues were in favour of his reappointment. And that, for example, is evident from a number of documents. One of them includes an Education Department memo dated 18th of June. Lady, that's at volume H, page 446. But I want to quote to you a paragraph, 2.5 of that memo. It is undated, but we've established that it was produced on the 18th of June, 1985. And
Yes.
It's addressed to the Director of Personnel, the Department of Education, and various other chief directors in that department. And paragraph 2.5 says, Die plaaslike veiligheidsgemeenskap te Cradock is voortdurend in gelug en steun die strategie van herinstalling. So in English, it appears that the local security community in Cradock itself support the reinstatement. And then other examples include, for example, what my learned friend put to you in relation to Mr. Marais, the lady that's on page 7 of the extracts. Mr. G.B. Marais, he happened to be the commandant of the South African Defence Force in Cradock at that time between 1982 and 1985.
Yes.
And in testimony before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Melody, that's at volume B2 from page 3345, he points out to Mr. Bezos, who's questioning him, that the local GBS in Cradock, in English that's the JMC, the Joint Management Committee, a structure of the State Security Council, that they were in support of normalizing the situation in Cradock.
Yes.
And we take that to mean that they would have supported the reinstatement of Mr. Ganiwe. And then finally, a few other indications of this desire or intention to reinstate Mr. Ganiwe. This is now set out on page 10. There are various documents. I'm not going to take up time going through each and every one of them. But for example, a Major General Frederick von Rensburg from the Secretariat at the State Security Council.
Yes.
He sent a memorandum to the chair of the GVS Actie Committee, and we know that the chair was then Minister Vlok, Adrian Vlok.
Yes.
And there, one of the options set out in that memo was, in fact, the reinstatement of Mr. Ganiwe. Milady, the reference is at footnote 8 of that document. There's further communications from a department called Community Communications to the Department of Education. And we also know that that was transmitted on the 18th of June. Milady, that's at volume H, page 446. And in that communication, the Department of Education says that they will make an offer to reinstate Mr. Ganiwe when he is in Cradock on the 1st and 2nd of July, 1985. So there we see a a specific step that the Department of Education intends to take, a concrete measure, that the offer will be made to Mr. Ganiwe on the 1st and 2nd of July, which, as we know, was only a few days after the incident in question. And then I think the last one I'll put to you is what the Commissioner of Police, General Coetzee, wrote to the Minister of Law and Order in a memo dated the 25th of June 1985, again just 2 days before the 27th. And Commissioner Coetzee proposes two options: either the conditional reinstatement of Mr. Ganiwe or his banning, his restriction to his home. So there you can see indication, certainly from the Department of Education, but also apparently from within the security apparatus, at least consideration about the reinstatement of Mr. Ganiwe. Before I take you to the evidence suggesting the opposite, do you have any comments on that evidence?
Well, what you have just said was an indication of the fact that there was a difference of opinion on how the situation in Cradock should be dealt with. And the security viewpoint was that Ganiwe had no role to play there. He was an enemy of the state. My viewpoint was Ganiwe is an able leader, very good teacher, and that he was, to my mind, part of the solution for Cradock and not the enemy.
And indeed, we actually came across an interesting reference that Mr. Bezos put to one of your colleagues, Mr. Vermaak, where he said that you were of the view that the reinstatement of Mr. Ganiwe would bring stability back to Cradock, and not only to Cradock, but potentially to the country at large. Would you agree with the view of Mr. Bezos?
Yes, of course. I fully agreed with that. And if you look at my statement, I say that. In 1985, when Ganiwe held the public meeting and the school boycotts came to an end, it was a major breakthrough to establish peace in the country, because Cradock was seen as the hub of resistance in the country. So in many ways, the situation in Cradock was symbolic of our struggle to bring peace and prosperity back in the schools and in a place like Cradock. If you will look at my statement, you will see. Just for interest's sake, I was also Deputy Minister for Development at that stage. And I promised at a public meeting that I held in Cradock that I would do everything in my power to look at the conditions of life in Lingelizle, and also to improve the situation in the schools. So there was a different viewpoint on how this matter should be dealt with. There can be no doubt about it. And my viewpoint was the reinstatement of Ganiwe was part of the solution. Apparently, the security people's viewpoint was that he should be removed.
Yes. And I suppose where we have to try and help this honourable court is to try and determine, which was the dominant view, who was calling the shots at that time.
Yes.
But perhaps let me just bring to your attention a few of the other mixed messages, and this time it's views very much against the reinstatement of Mr. Ganiwe. We've heard some, so I won't repeat those. But for example, there was a Mr. Janse van Rensburg.
Yes.
I understand that he was at that time the second in command of the security branch in Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
And the Milady, the extract is at page 3. And when the chairperson of the Amnesty Committee, or rather, in fact, it was Mr. Bezos actually, put it to him that the local security community in Cradock was apparently in support of the reinstatement, his response was that he knew nothing of that at all. Let's turn to another example. Milady, we're now on page 4, and we're referring to the statement of one Fred Koni, K-O-N-I. We've given the reference to his statement. It's in volume B2, page 4343. Now, Mr. Koni was a sergeant in the security branch in Cradock at the time, and his job was to monitor calls and letters that people like Ganiwe and Kalata were receiving and sending. And he said that the only time he heard Winter, and at the time Eric Winter was the officer commanding the security branch in Cradock, speak about Ganiwe's statement was after a meeting he held in his office with you, Deputy Minister of Education and Training Sam de Beer, Mr. Jaap Strydom, and the local inspector of schools. He said he overheard Winter talking to other white members of the security branch saying that Mr. Blackie wanted Ganiwe to be reinstated, and Winter voiced the security branch's opposition to reinstatement. So that then seems to contradict the claim set out in that Education Department memo that the local security community was in support of the reinstatement.
Well, that's to my mind, that's a conflicting statement. You must understand that we are now. You are taking testimony from me before Ganiwe was murdered, but after that, I mean,
Sorry, Mr. De Beer, that wasn't your testimony. That was testimony from a police officer by the name of Koni.
Yes, I'm aware of that. But what I'm saying is that after this incident, I mean, we got a lot of information, even from Mr. Bezos' book in this regard, that we didn't know of before Ganiwe was murdered. So I wasn't aware of Mr. Winter, I think the name is you mentioned. I wasn't aware of his viewpoints till I read it in the later court cases and inquests that was done. So you'll get conflicting viewpoints from the security people in this regard. And we in the Department of Education and Training had to deal with this. And initially and eventually the fact that I had to go to 4 ministers of cabinet to get approval is an indication of that.
Yes, indeed. And it's this morass that we have to try and make sense of.
Yes.
And then you might recall Mr. Harold Snyman. He was the security branch officer, or commanding officer in Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
And, Milady, there's an extract of his testimony on page 6. And there Mr. Bezos says to Mr. Snyman that, was he aware that the Deputy Minister, Mr. De Beer, was meeting with the dangerous enemy, and he says, he is aware. He goes on to say that they decided to make a recommendation. And my lady, we don't have that extract here, but it's on the next page of that testimony, which is in volume BI, starting at page 1198. And if one goes to page 1200, Mr. Bezos asks him what was the aanbeveling, the recommendation that Mr. Snyman made in respect of the reinstatement, and Snyman answers, "Dat dit nie moet geskied nie," that this must not happen.
Yes.
And Bezos puts it to him, so you were totally against the reinstatement? And Mr. Snyman responds, "That is correct."
Yes.
There are other, there's other indication that the security police and the security apparatus were opposed. It's already been put to you, the Brigadier van der Westhuizen's signal
Yes.
to the Secretariat of the State Security Council on the 23rd of May, 85, that Ganiwe and Kalata never be reappointed to the department under any circumstances.
That's correct.
And perhaps I will quote to you quite a chilling quote from Hermanus Baron du Plessis, who at the time was head of Black Affairs at the Port Elizabeth Security Branch. When Mr. Bezos raises the question of reinstatement to him, the response of Mr. du Plessis is that even if Ganiwe had been reappointed and he was teaching 1,000-odd children at a school in Cradock, you would still have killed him. That's the question Mr. Bezos puts. Mr. du Plessis responds, "That is correct, because his activities would not have stopped." So would you agree that the prevailing view, at least among the security community, was that Mr. Ganiwe should not be reappointed under any circumstances?
Yes, as I say, in the documents of the inquest later, after the murder, it became quite apparent that there was very, very heavy opposition to the plan of the Department of Education and Training. But before this, it was not all known to us, if you understand what I'm saying. But there's no doubt today, after everything that has happened, it's obvious. The TRC has made this finding that there was heavy resistance amongst the security people to Ganiwe coming back to Cradock. But this is also an indication of a different viewpoint that existed amongst representatives in that era. You always had the doves and the what do you call it? The eagles. In this regard, and I and a large group of cabinet ministers was very much in favor of finding the solutions of this country through negotiation and communication. Others were opposed it, and in the small, what you are referring to, the difference that we had in Cradock was a difference of opinion that existed at that stage. The people who were for peace and prosperity, and others who were in favor of eliminating people.
Yes, indeed. And it is a huge pity that the doves did not prevail at that time of our history.
Yes.
Lastly, Mr. De Beer, I just want to put to you a testimony that two former security branch officers made before the Amnesty Committee. in their applications for amnesty. That's the testimony of Eugene de Kock and the testimony of one Jaap van Jaarsveld.
Yes.
In summary, both Mr. de Kock and Mr. van Jaarsveld, when they were pointed to some of the documents that we have just been discussing, particularly the documents that the security community were putting up and the Security Council, the Secretariat at least, that action committee I referred to you. And their response was that those documentation where they were considering the reappointment or even deciding to reappoint, their view was that cannot be taken seriously. They described it as a smokescreen.
Yes.
And let me just quote to you.
My lady, with great respect, what relevance are these questions, the last specific subject that our learned colleague now takes up with the witness? In what manner will it assist your ladyship that views of Mr. Jaap van Jaarsveld, who already passed away, to this witness who hasn't got the slightest idea of what is being conveyed or what was conveyed by Mr. van Jaarsveld? How will it assist you in the present inquiry that you're conducting?
Mr. Evani?
Well, there's a simple answer to that question, Milady. Milady is tasked with trying to get to the bottom of who was behind these murders and how far up the chain of command it went. Now, we have substantial evidence from the State Security Council and other structures with a whole host of mixed messages, as we put before your ladyship. It would be instructive to hear from this witness, who was a Deputy Minister of Education at the time, to hear his view as to whether the views of Mr. de Kock and Mr. van Jaarsveld that that documentation purportedly arguing for the reinstatement was simply nothing more than a smokescreen.
Will you be able to give an opinion in that regard? Having stated what his standpoint was at the time, that he was in favor of the reinstatement, and he believed that he had run this past the cabinet, they were in favor of that, except for the stalling to say administrative arrangement was still being made. Do you think he'll be able to shed any light about what went on in the minds of other people?
No, we're not asking him to testify about what went on in the minds of other people.
He said the documents were all a smoke screen. He told us what he stood for. He told us what he believed was the case.
Well, Milady, we haven't... Milady, we will be arguing that documentation, at least the documents ordered by the security personnel in relation to the reinstatement, that was in fact a smokescreen to cover their tracks. And it would be instructive for this court to hear the view of Mr. De Beer, who was in government at the time, as to whether he's of the opinion that might have been a smokescreen.
He's already told us that there were contending views about whether or not the reinstatement should happen.
Milady, with respect, this is a different question. Yes, we have on record the different views, but we've yet to put the notion that documentation calling for the reinstatement, at least from the security apparatus side, that was a smokescreen. That hasn't been put to the witness yet.
Did you understand the question, Mr. De Beer? Do you have any?
Yes, I understand the question quite well, Madam Chair. And I must say that I'm not quite a favor with Mr. De Kock's viewpoints. I didn't ever come across him. But this statement of a smokescreen is perhaps the type of statement one would get from the other side of the ball game. The fact of the matter is that what happened in connection with Goniwe was a cabinet decision. And I can't see how how this can be seen as a smokescreen. What I can say is that I was the initiator of this whole process, and I can assure you, madam, that this, to my mind, was not a smokescreen. It was my absolute conviction that this is the way we have to go in this country.
I think the question relates to the members of the security family, whether documents from their side were merely a smoke screen rather than a genuine intention to have Mr. Goniwe reinstated. Are you in a position to comment thereon?
I'm sorry, madam, I didn't quite understand your statement.
The way I understood the question is that it is directed at documents emanating from the security family, whether they were a genuine indication, reflection of the intention to reinstate Mr. Goniwe, or were a mere smoke screen, not from your side.
Yeah, well, I can't answer that, madam. If it was a smokescreen from the security people, that might be so. I don't have any knowledge about it. But the fact that we wanted to reinstate Goniwe, to our opinion, was part of the solution. But I don't agree with what Mr. de Kock said or what his opinion was. Certainly, it wasn't the viewpoint of the Department of Education and Training that this is a smokescreen.
To be clear, Mr. De Beer, Mr. de Kock was not suggesting that the Department of Education was collaborating in the smokescreen. He was only referring to the security apparatus, persons in the South African Defence Force and the South African Police at the time.
With respect, this witness answered. He said, I can't comment on
Yes.
Yes, I was just, with respect to my learned friend, I was simply clarifying that point for the record. This is an inquisitorial...
Yes, I have already done so with the witness.
And we're indebted, my lady. No further questions.
Thank you. Any more questions to Mr.
My lady, very briefly. Mr. De Beer, it appears to me that to some extent our learned colleague attempted to obtain some speculation from you. I want to just stick to the facts that fall within your personal knowledge and emphasize those facts. The inferences to be drawn can be drawn by her ladyship. That's her prerogative in an inquiry of this nature. Now, if I can summarize, please tell me if I understand the evidence based on your knowledge correct. Number one, initially what you encountered was apparently a difference in opinion from the some members of the State Security Council. They were against the reappointment of the late Mr. Goniwe. Did I understand that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
But that, if I have regard to your evidence and your statement, on the face of it, and as far as you're concerned, as far as you have knowledge of it, that changed after apparently you had discussions with cabinet members informally and maybe formally and members of the State Security Council, in that on the 6th of June it was ultimately agreed that the late Mr. Goniwe would be reinstated. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So at least as far as you're concerned, it appears to me, Mr. De Beer, that there was a change of heart, maybe as a result of your persuasion.
Yes, well, after my meeting of the cabinet ministers, I was certainly convinced that there was a change of opinion and that we could go on appointing Mr. Gonyue.
And you are not aware of what was the cause of any decision then to actually murder the so-called Cradock 4 persons. That came as a shock to you without any knowledge from your side, either before the murder or thereafter. What caused that tragic situation?
Yes, I agree with that. I can't answer you because I was still the day of their murder. I was convinced that that we could go on with the process.
What you can further say, it appears to me, Mr. De Beer, from your own knowledge, is that during your discussions, that is now during June 1985, with the Minister of Law and Order, the Minister of Defence, the Minister of Education and Training, the Commissioner of Police at the time, they agreed with you that the solution would be the reappointment of Mr. Gonyue.
That's correct, yes.
And whether they and or any one of them was aware or were involved in the further change of approach that led to the murder of Mr. Gonyue, you can't say.
No. That's correct.
Now, then further, in any event relating to the viewpoint of members of the security family who you perceive to be against reinstatement, that was now prior to 6 June 1985, you are not aware from personal knowledge which of the specific members of this community were actually against reappointment and who may have been in favor of reappointment. Because you'll agree with me, there would have been, or there was probably a difference in opinion within the security family as well, in that regard.
It is possible, yes. Yes.
The fact is you can't say who was for and who was or were against reappointment.
I can only say who was for the appointment from the community of Lingelizwe and the people that I had discussions with in Cradock. I had public discussions with the representatives of the community. But I can't give you a number of who was for and who was against. That's not possible. It was possible for me to determine what I thought would be the solution for the problem.
Well, it appears to me from your evidence and your statement that what you can at least say, as stated in paragraph 31 of your statement, was that at least what you can say is that the Minister of Law and Order, the Minister of Defence and the Commissioner of Police had a change of heart insofar as they may have been against reinstatement, and that as from the 6th of June, they were then in favour of reappointment.
Yes, that's possible.
I have no further questions.
Yes, Mr.
Very, very briefly. When you took over in August 84,
September.
September,
Yes.
as minister. And then Goniwe and them were brought back from Graafrenet. Is that correct? Or were they back already?
Well, I know he had left. He wasn't in Cradock when I was reappointed, and that was part of the unrest in Cradock. So he had been transferred by the department to Graafrenet, and I'm under the impression that he had, when I was appointed, he had already returned. He refused an appointment in Graafrenet. That's what I can say.
What I want to come back to is, at that stage when you took over, was there any suggestion that they should be murdered from the department side?
There was never a suggestion whatsoever that was not how my department functioned. We were not in favor of murdering people or removing them from the community or whatever. No, certainly not.
Thank you, Mr. Beer. No further questions.
Any questions? Mr. Foshin? Mr. Do you manage to confer with Mr. Pusakwe? All right. Mr. Dipier, thank you very much for your time. You may now be excused. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam, for the opportunity. I hope this brings good for our country's future. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for the compliment.
Thank you, my lady. May I also be
But these
excused?
screens can be very deceiving, but I thank you for the compliment anyway. Thank you. Mr. Vani?
We spoke about a little earlier.
Yes. Also regarding the records, there is a mention of volumes G, H, E, and so on, but the record that I have so far is volumes 1 to whatever. So if I can be provided with a complete record as has been
Milady, can I check, is your current record sitting next to you?
Yes.
So with your lady's permission, can my attorneys look at it and try and help you in that regard?
Yes, I'll appreciate that. As I say, they are still numbered from 1 to 17 or whatever.
Okay. We'll consult with our friends from the state and sort your record.
Yeah.
As the court pleases. Milady, we mentioned a little earlier that we had already provided our learned friends for the persons of interest with electronic copies of documents, some of which we may wish to refer to when they are called. With the leave of the court, we'd like to put them up as volume L, and I'll just quickly give your ladyship an indication of these documents. Milady, L1 is a bundle in relation to...
Jij moet leave.
Is a bundle in relation to Craig Williamson, who will be testifying tomorrow. And we've also supplied hard copies to our learned friends representing Mr. Williamson. L2 is a bundle in relation to Mr. Gerrit Erasmus, who will be appearing on Wednesday. L3 is a bundle in relation to Mr. Engelbrecht, who will also hopefully appear virtually on Wednesday. And then lastly, L4 is a bundle in relation to Mr. van der Westhuizen, who's scheduled to appear virtually on Thursday and Friday. So with the leave of the court, we'd like to hand these up to your ladyship.
Thank you.
May I also have critical statement of Mr. Galvani to see? I have it here. I have given the copy to my learned friend, Mr. Klopman. I'd just like to hand up the original to your ladyship.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Milady, while we were on outstanding documents, I'm just, reminded that we still don't have statements from the individuals testifying this week, and we hadn't wanted to press our learned friends, but it might be good to hear from them if they are going to be submitting statements to this honourable court. Milady, lastly, from our side, we'd like to hand up short heads of argument on the questions or possible objections relating to the reference to similar fact evidence. I had a discussion with my learned friend, Mr. Saliers, representing the former police officers, and he's put me on notice that he intends to object to the reference to similar fact evidence that is contained in Truth and Reconciliation and various amnesty records. And my lady, we think that it might be expeditious or expedient to get a ruling from your ladyship up front rather than having an unseemly fight every 5 minutes while we attempt to put questions to the different witnesses. And with the leave of the court, we'd like to hand up those heads. We've shared them electronically and given a hard copy to Mr. Saliers.
Is it possible to give such a ruling with the evidence in not knowing what the nature of the evidence is going to entail, without there having been an objection to whatever evidence is going to be?
But absolutely not, my lady. I have a problem with even handing up heads of argument now in advance. We don't know what the questions are. We don't know what it may be. We don't know whether there will be an objection. We don't know what the objection will be. To burden your ladyship at this stage with heads of argument and argument in a vacuum of this speculative nature is, with respect, highly irregular. And I most certainly will not participate at this stage in any proceedings of that nature.
Well, with great respect to my learned friend, it's not up to him to decide whether he'll participate or not. That is a decision of your ladyship. And also with respect to my learned friend, it's no secret. We've set out specifically, and we've sent the extracts.
Yes, I would rather deal with the specific objection, Mr. Vani, and then we can cross that bridge when we come to it.
As the court pleases.
I think that would be more helpful to me.
And lady, just a few other housekeeping matters. My learned junior has handed me a note saying Department of Defence, and I think he's referring to the Department of Defence documents that we still haven't been supplied with. It would be good to hear from our learned friends from the state if there's any prospect that those will be provided to this honourable court. He's also asked me to seek an update from our friends from the state in relation to the translations. And then the final request from us, and this I've consulted with Mr. Saliers, is whether we can have an early start on Tuesday and Wednesday, given that we expect those to be long days and there's a fear that we might not finish.
By early start, what do you have in mind?
Well, that's in your ladyship's hands, but we would suggest either 9 or 9:30.
I'd be fine with 9:30. I don't have a problem unless anyone will have a problem with that.
9:30 will be fine. I can inform your ladyship that Mr. Williams flies in. He's scheduled to land tomorrow morning before 7 o'clock, so 9:30 will be fine.
So do I take it there are no further witnesses to be led today?
Not from us, my lady, but I'll leave it in the hands of Mr. Governor to advise.
Mr. Governor?
Thank you, Lady. No, that was the only witness scheduled for today, my lady. Malini, with regards to the translation of the record, as I indicated to my learned friends, I am sending an email to Mr. Ahmed with that. I have to unfortunately re-download the to Inquest, so I'm in the process of doing that, and that email will be sent to Mr. Ahmed this afternoon to have those things translated.
Classification of records from defense.
My lady, we have been in contact with the Department of Defense. The DPCI did proceed to the archives to retrieve the documentation. They indicated that that the letter we requested, they wanted a subpoena in terms of Section 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act. We're now trying to see if we can get the assistance of the Minister in the Department of Defense to release those documents without us going to the 205 group. I'm in contact with I've spoken to Mr. Sakela about that. I have asked the DPCI to send us an email detailing the full extent of what they've done. I'm going to now send that email to Mr. Sakela with these assistance, and if that does not assist us, then we will have to we will then draft a Section 205 subpoena and request the documents through that manner.
That seems to be the case then, Mr. Vani and other parties. Not sure it's helpful, but that seems to be what it is for now.
It is what it is, as they say, Manelli. Manelli, perhaps we can hear from my learned colleagues if they intend to put out statements in relation to their witnesses.
Manelli, I have prepared a statement. It's unsigned. I've informed my learned colleague or our learned colleagues what the content is. It hasn't been signed, and I will hand it to them before court, before it's testified. It's about 1 page, 1.5 page each. It's to a large extent, we didn't deal with other incidents. We dealt with the present incident, for instance, in Mr. Williams' regard, and he denies any knowledge or involvement in the present incident that forms the subject matter of this issue.
Okay. I appreciate that you are far from your chambers. Is it possible to circulate the statement maybe earlier than tomorrow morning?
Well, what I will do is once Mr. Williamson finally confirmed, it will probably later this afternoon, I will circulate it to all the
Thank you very much.
all the colleagues.
Mr. Barton du Plessis, I'll prepare a thorough statement for him and circulate it with everybody before he gives evidence.
Thank you.
My lady, we have no intention at this point in time to file a comprehensive statement on behalf of General from the West Haven, but we will reconsider the matter and possibly review it tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much. That will be appreciated. Alrighty then, shall we adjourn to resume tomorrow at 9:30? Court will adjourn.
All right.